Hello, and thank you for tuning in to this episode of Animals and Ames. My name is Ron Edwards. I'm the Animal Control Supervisor here for the Ames Animal Shelter and Animal Control Program. Our first guest with us here today is Dickens. Dickens actually has a very sad story. He was actually transferred to us from the Greenbelt Humane Society. And where the story is sad about Dickens is he has lived in a shelter for over 5 years. He's been at the Greenbelt Humane Society, and we're so thankful that they've kept him there, even though, it's not what we prefer for them to be living in shelter environments. But, the good thing is that Dickens is with us here today, thanks to the care and compassion of the team over at the Greenbelt Humane Society. So he was about 5 months old when he went into the Greenbelt Humane Society, and for whatever reason, just didn't find a home. He's been dealing with an upper respiratory infection and has recovered from that, so he's no longer on medication, but is just a sweet cat. You can kind of tell that he's just kind of fed up with getting treated with medication, and he just wants someone to love him and spend time with him and pet him and scratch his head and his chin. He's just a really nice cat, and it is really a shame that he's been living in a shelter for so long. So I'm really hoping today that one of those viewers out there are going to hear his story and think about him living in an animal shelter for 5 years. He's only been with us for a few weeks now, but we don't want him to be living here with us, not anywhere near 5 years. I don't even want it to be 5 months. 5 weeks would even be more than what we want. Dickens is looking for that forever home where he can run and stretch his legs and feel comfortable. He has had some upper respiratory issues since he was at the Greenbelt Humane Society. As I said, he has been treated for that here. But he may be one of those cats that may just continue to sneeze from time to time in the new home. But just a beautiful orange tabby here. I'm not sure how well those stripes are showing out in the camera there, but he is definitely a beautiful cat. He's a little bit on the heavy side. I know, who am I to talk? But he could probably use to lose a little bit of weight. That would be good for him. But, if you think about him living in the shelter environment, he hasn't had the ability to have the exercise that he would living in a home environment. So hopefully we can get him into a permanent home and a place where he can exercise and work off some of that weight and just enjoy life for the rest of his life. So, we may have at least 10, 15 more years left of his life here. So it'd be nice to get him out of the shelter environment and get him to a place where he's going to be loved and cared for the way that all cats deserve to be. So if you're interested here in Dickens, come on down to the shelter. We would love to introduce you to him, and you can see just what a sweet kitty that Dickens is. And our next guest today is Butterscotch. Butterscotch came to us as an owner-surrendered little bunny. I have to tell you, this is one of the most social bunnies that I've ever met. He's very easy to handle. Wants the attention. Everybody that comes through the kennel, when they stop by and see Butterscotch, he usually comes running up at the front of his exercise pen and wants to greet everybody. So a very social bunny with really big ears, but just a really nice bunny. Maybe we can show him your face right there. Just a beautiful bunny. She has not been spayed yet, but she will be spayed before she goes home. One of the things that I talk about with every bunny that we have on our show is to make sure you do some research about having them as pets. Rabbit.org is an incredible website that gives lots of information about caring for these guys, because they are very special creatures and do require special care and attention and medical. Got to keep a real close eye on them to make sure that they're thriving. They can crash really quick, and what's really important with these guys is that they eat a lot of these green leafy vegetables, so some romaine lettuce and cilantro and parsley, a lot of other things that they can have. The pellets are also an important part of their diet, but you don't want that to be the main part of their diet. A lot of times people are just feeding the pellets, thinking that they're getting all the nutrition in that they need, and that's not the case. One of the most important things for their diet is Timothy hay. So Butterscotch here, they also use that Timothy hay, so you put it in a box and it becomes their litter box, as well as they eat that food from the litter box. So they'll eat the Timothy hay from the litter box. So they'll go potty on the main part in the bottom of the litter box, and on the sides they'll eat that hay while they're in there. And again, that roughage is very important to their diet and their survival. So if you're interested in a bunny, make sure you go to rabbit.org, read all about them as pets and the requirements that they need. You can also come down here. Our staff are very knowledgeable about having these guys. These bunnies do not belong in small cages. The minimum that we're going to find for an acceptable home that we're going to do an approved adoption is going to be the exercise pens that they're in here at the shelter. That gives them plenty of room to bounce around and call it binkies, and play and run and do things that rabbits like to do. So it's also very important too that you bunny proof your house. So they will chew on electric cords and baseboards, things like that in your home, carpet. So it's very important that you put them in an environment where they're going to be safe and secure and not get hurt. So see, he's chewing on his cilantro here. Again, it's a very important, these green leafy vegetables are very important to their diet. So you want to make sure that any rabbit that you have gets to eat lots of these vegetables, and you can tell she is just really enjoying that. So again, if you're interested in Butterscotch here, come on down to the shelter. Our staff can talk to you about having a rabbit, and hopefully you'll do some research on your own at rabbit.org. And our next guest here, meaning multiple guests, these are just a group of kittens that we have available for adoption. We've only brought out a small sampling, and obviously even these are a challenge for us. I had to have our animal control officer, Kathy, come in and help me with their hands here because we got kittens everywhere. These are, those two are getting a little rowdy with each other. But these are just, again, 5 of the kittens that we have available for adoption. We want everybody that's interested in a kitten to go to our website, which is amesanimalshelter.org, and you can see the individual pictures and names of all these kittens. So if you're interested in one of these or one of the many others that we have, check them out on our website. Kittens do get adopted quick. These guys have all been spayed or neutered. They're ready to go home. They all have their claws, and of course we want to make sure that they stay that way. Really important to us, so they can grab on when we're trying to capture them. But just all, as all kittens are, they're going to be very playful, friendly, rambunctious. They want to play with everything, chew on everything. It's just part of having one of these little guys in your home. So if you're interested in a kitten, come on down to the shelter, keep an eye on our website, and see if there's one you're interested in. We also want you to, don't forget about the adult cats. We have a lot of adult cats right now. You met Dickens. He's one of the cats that's here at the shelter, and we want to make sure that those guys don't get left behind. So even though we have a lot of kittens to adopt, we want you to consider adopting one of these great guys, and think about the adults, and maybe adopt a kitten and adult. We do have programs where we can adopt the adult with one of the kittens, and we waive the adoption fee on one of them. So if you're interested in these guys, come on down to the Ames Animal Shelter. And our next guest here today is more for show and tell. This is Tulip. Tulip is a Muscovy duck. She is actually here with 3 other ducks and 3 chickens. They are part of a neglect case that we're working on. Our animal control officer, Kathy, is working through the legal system to try and deal with these animals not being cared for properly. So Tulip was, again, one of those animals that were removed from the property for not being cared for properly. She's here getting really good food, being taken care of. She's wondering what we're saying about her, and getting all the attention and the care that she deserves and should have had from the beginning. So we're making sure that they're really well taken care of. While this is going through the court process, we found a foster home that's going to allow all of these ducks and chickens to live on a farm where they're going to have access to a nice clean swimming pool for them, and fresh water and appropriate food, and just an environment where they're going to be cared for properly. So just wanted to kind of show you some of the animals that we get here at the shelter that you typically don't see. I typically show the dogs, the cats, the rabbits, but leave out some of these other ones that we do care for. So Tulip is not available for adoption. Just wanted to kind of use her as a show and tell piece here for some of the special feathered creatures that come into the Ames Animal Shelter. Thank you for watching this episode of Animals and Ames. I want to say a special thank you for the group that puts this together, the film crew and the editing, and there's so much that goes into putting these shows together, them bringing animals up here and talking about how wonderful they are. So thank you to all of you who put this together. Alicia, you've been a great person to work with, and I appreciate all the professional work that you do. Want to say a special thank you to all of our recent donors, and just wanted to name a few: Corinne, Brenda, Alicia, Dan and Christine from California, and so many others. We get so much donations from the community here, and we're so happy that people support the work that we do here at the shelter, and understand that it takes so much more to care for these homeless animals until they find their forever home. So just a very special thank you from the bottom of our hearts and from the hearts of all the animals here that you're saving with your donations. We greatly appreciate it, and we'll continue to do everything that we can to fight for every single animal that comes through our shelter, whether they have feathers or fur or anything that comes in the shelter here. We're going to give it our absolute best to save them, to find them those forever homes. In the case with Dickens, get him out of the shelter environment. So come on down to the Ames Animal Shelter and adopt one of these beautiful creatures. We'd love to see you come down to the shelter and meet somebody and see if they'll fit for your family. So thanks again for watching.